Vydejte se s námi po stopách Brufenu, oblíbeného léku proti horečce, zánětu a bolesti, který se v lékárnách poprvé objevil právě před 40 lety. Navštívili jsme anglický Nottingham, kde se tento legendární lék zrodil, a hovořili s doktorem Stewartem Adamsem, který je jeho objevitelem. V rozhovoru jsem se 85letého vědce, který se těší dobrému zdraví a rád vzpomíná na své návštěvy tehdejšího Československa, nejprve zeptal, proč se po studiích věnoval výzkumu revmatické artritidy, který ho později přivedl právě k Brufenu.
Well, I was quite interested insofar as when I was a student at Leeds University, I'd heard one of the American clinicians who'd taken part in the first studies of cortisone in rheumatoid arthritis. And it was a very fascinating talk. And he showed you patients with rheumatoid arthritis who were in bed, as many severe people with rheumatoid arthritis were kept in those days. They were injected with cortisone, and within a few days they were getting out of bed and walking up steps. It was really quite magical, and I've never forgotten that, and I suppose that really was the start of my particular interest.
Pokud vím, pak přišla etapa klinických testů a vy jste se rozhodl, byl jste natolik odvážný, že Brufen budete testovat sám na sobě. Bylo to obtížné rozhodnutí a potřeboval jste tehdy k němu souhlas také své manželky?
No, not at all. It wasn't a difficult decision. We had some laboratory experience, laboratory studies with it, and I was fairly sure that we were okay. In fact, during that period, over a couple of years, I suppose I must have taken 3 or 4 new compounds. So not only ibuprofen, but the others as well. But it wasn't really rash. We had a little bit of experience from animals, so I felt it was reasonably safe. I only took a single dose to begin with, anyway.
A testoval jste někdy Brufen také na své paní, na své choti?
No, but she did start taking some fairly early on, I must say, yes.
Dočetl jsem se také, že jeden z prvních testů se odehrál, když jste večer vypil více alkoholu a druhý den ráno vás pekelně bolela hlava, tak jste si vzal Brufen. Je to tak?
That is absolutely true. Well, the story is that our first international conference on ibuprofen was in London. And I met a lot of people, a lot of old friends from different countries, and we went out and we had a very pleasant evening. But I was first on the next morning, and I must say the next morning I didn't really feel quite up to going on to the stage, and I thought, well, the dose of ibuprofen in those days was 400 milligrams. So I thought, well, I'll make a good job of it. So I took 600 milligrams and found that it really did work quite well. And that is absolutely true.
Měl jste vlastně tenkrát nějakou představu, jak probíhá podobný výzkum v zemích, jako bylo Československo?
It was very difficult to determine that, but of course we did market an antidepressant called Doposial, which was produced in Prague. We obtained it through another company, so there was certainly some good work being done in that area in Prague at that time, in the CNS area, without any doubt.
Měl jste nějaké kontakty s českými nebo slovenskými vědci?
Well, yes, we did have 1 or 2 connections with clinicians in Czechoslovakia who I think did some limited trials, if I remember rightly, at one stage. So we certainly did have some connections. I can't remember their names at the moment. And I also had some connections with, at the laboratory level, with somebody working in Piešťany. I believe he later moved to Prague. But I had some correspondence with him, and I visited him in Piešťany, I think, twice.
Hovoříme-li konkrétně o Brufenu, tak ten pochopitelně do zemí jako Československo nebyl volně importován, pokud vím, mohl se tenkrát pouze pašovat z bývalé Jugoslávie. Máte představu, proč to bylo právě z Jugoslávie?
Well, I didn't know that, but in fact, yes, we worked through a company called Galenica in Belgrade for the whole of Eastern Europe, for the whole of the Comic-Con, and so it could well be that the product did go from there, either commercially correctly or through some other means. I really don't know.
Měl jste tenkrát pocit, že soupeříte a soutěžíte s vědci a výzkumníky ve Spojených státech, kde přeci jen ta podpora farmaceutického průmyslu pro podobný výzkum asi byla mnohem větší? Měl jste třeba obavy, že v závodě s časem, v tomto případě s Američany, prohrajete? Obával jste se toho?
Well, I was very concerned about it because there were two other companies who were in the field in a big way. Merck Sharp and Dome and Park Davis, and both American companies, and they were both working in the same field. In fact, we were essentially the first three groups of people working. We didn't realise in NSAIDs, we didn't realise that's what it was at that time. And yes, because we were a very small organisation indeed. I mean, when I started out, there was just myself and one or two technicians, and it wasn't very much more after John Nicholson joined me for a long time. So I was very concerned about that, knowing that some of these American companies did put in a very big effort. As it happened, I think we turned up perhaps with the best of the compounds that all three did produce.
Největší odměnou, pokud vím, pro vás bylo, když v roce 1983 uvolnili britské a americké regulační úřady volný prodej ibuprofenu. Jak jste tu zprávu tehdy přijal? Oslavoval jste?
Well, it was in 1983 and I had quite a lot to do with the OTC product. I was attached to the marketing department as a scientific consultant, as it were. So I did have quite a lot concerned with that. And in 1983, it became an OTC product in the UK, one of the first products to move from a prescription to non-prescription. And in 1984, it did the same thing in the States. And I then thought at that time in 1984, that was 31 years after I first started the work, that to me was really the high point of the whole time, because I knew that the health authorities in the UK and the health authorities in the States in those days were the toughest of all. And I thought, well, now that we've got over those two hurdles, I felt we really had achieved something.